What is up, everybody? JT Dangerously once again. I am back for my Week 9 college football predictions. Now, with Week 8 in the books, we are now into Week 9 of the college football season. So I'm very excited to do these Week 9 predictions for you guys, and I hope you guys do enjoy. Now, our record coming into Week 9 after an amazing Week 8, we went 10-1. So our overall record coming in is 58-29. So we're coming in hot. We are on fire. We haven't had a losing record since Week 2, and I'm looking to keep it that way. So hopefully in this video we will continue the winning ways. We're on a 6-week winning streak. Hopefully in this video we're going to make it 7. Now this is the first of 3 big videos that will be up on the channel today, so hopefully you guys will be able to watch all 3 of these videos. Now right after this video, I'll have my official WWE Evolution, WWE's first ever all-women's pay-per-view, which we will see Becky Lynch defend the SmackDown Women's Championship against Charlotte Flair in the second ever last woman standing match. So I'll have my Evolution predictions right after this video, and then I'll have my Week 8 NFL predictions. So remember, 3 big videos will be up on the channel today, so hopefully you guys will be able to watch all of these videos. As always, show your support by watching these videos, super kicking those like buttons and hitting that notification bell, and commenting your picks, your opinions, and representing your college football teams in the comment section down below. Now, if this is your first time watching my channel, as a first time viewer, and this is your first video, boy, you picked a good one if you're a huge college football fan like myself and you're ready for Week 9 of the college football season. Welcome to the Dangerous Lions. I am JT Dangerously. Welcome to the club, because this club is 2. Whoop, whoop. Again, thank you guys so very much. Now, other than that, let's get right into these Week 9 predictions. Starting off on Thursday night with a huge Big 12 showdown with the Baylor Bears heading to Morgantown to face the West Virginia Mountaineers. Now, both teams are coming off byes in Week 8. Baylor coming in at 4-3. West Virginia coming in at 5-1. Now, with the Big 12 getting really interesting this year, with teams like Texas being on top, Oklahoma being still on top, OK State, Texas Tech, this Big 12 conference is definitely looking intriguing this year to see who's going to win this conference. And every game is going to matter now. Every game in the Big 12 conference is going to matter, because if you lose one game, you're going to be completely out of the race. So coming from me in this first matchup on Thursday night, I'm going to take Will Grier and the West Virginia Mountaineers to defeat the Baylor Bears. And now the next matchup, which will also be on Thursday night, is an ACC Coastal Rivalry showdown pitting the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets heading to Lane Stadium to face the Virginia Tech Hokies. Now this is the 16th meeting between Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech leads the all-time series 9-6. Georgia Tech has won the last 2 meetings against Virginia Tech, and the Hokies are looking to defeat Georgia Tech for the first time in 3 years. Now, both teams are also coming off byes in Week 8. Georgia Tech coming in at 3-4. The Hokies coming in at 4-2. Now, just like with the Big 12, the ACC Coastal is anybody's ball game. With Virginia's big win over Duke, Miami coming off their bye, this game is definitely big to see who's going to be that threat to either Miami or Virginia in the Coastal. So coming from me in this matchup on Thursday night, I'm going to take the Virginia Tech Hokies to defeat the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets in a close one. And now the next matchup, which will be on Friday night, is an ACC conference battle between the Miami Hurricanes, or the U, heading to Boston College to face the Boston College Eagles. Now this is the 30th meeting between the U and Boston College. Miami leads the all-time series 24-5. The U's won the last meeting back in 2012, and Boston College's last win over the Hurricanes, you got to go all the way back to 2011 when I think Matt Ryan was still there. So this is a big-time game, especially in the ACC Conference, with Miami leading the ACC Coastal and Clemson leading the ACC Atlantic. This is a big game, and you can just rest assured there's going to be some trap games, and this could definitely be a trap game for the U, with Malik Rozier maybe playing Nakasi Perry, quarterbacking for the Hurricanes. Definitely, this game is big for the Hurricanes, because if they can win this game, they'll be bowl eligible and get one step closer to repeating as Coastal champions and finally maybe win the ACC championship. So coming from me in this ACC conference game on Friday night, ooh, this one's tough. Boston College is really surprising a lot of people. They're both coming in at 5-2 as well. So I'm going to go with the U to defeat the Boston College Eagles in a really, really close one. And now the next matchup. It is an SEC East showdown between the Kentucky Wildcats heading to Missouri to face the Missouri Tigers. Now, both teams are coming off big wins in Week 8. Kentucky coming off a very close win over Vanderbilt on Saturday, coming in at 6-1, and Missouri's coming off their blowout win over the Memphis Tigers on Saturday, coming in at 4-3. Now, with the SEC East coming down to maybe Florida or Georgia, Kentucky wants to stake their claim. They have beaten Florida already, so they still have a chance to maybe win the SEC East, and I'm very happy to see Kentucky have 6 wins this season. They are very underrated, and they deserve to have a winning record this season. And Missouri is also a really good team. They kind of gave Bama a fight, but not too much. But Missouri can definitely pull off a huge upset here. So coming from me in this SEC East showdown, oh man, I'm going to go with the Kentucky Wildcats to defeat the Missouri Tigers in a close one. And now the next matchup. It is a huge Big Ten Conference battle between College Football Dojo's Iowa Hawkeyes heading to Happy Valley to face the Penn State Nittany Lions. Now this is only the 28th meeting between the Hawkeyes and the Nittany Lions. Penn State leads the all-time series 15-12. Penn State has won the last 4 meetings against the Hawkeyes, and Iowa is looking to defeat Penn State for the first time since 2010. Now, with the big upset in Week 8 with Purdue upsetting Ohio State, which nobody saw coming, the Big Ten Conference definitely got shook up. And the real winner in this is definitely Iowa and Michigan, because Michigan's big win over Michigan State helped them out, and Iowa's continued success ever since their loss to Wisconsin absolutely helped them out, because if Ohio State just lost to Purdue. So the Big Ten championship is still in the reach for Michigan and Iowa in the Big Ten West. But this game is big. Iowa, again, hasn't lost a game since that Wisconsin game, and Penn State's coming off their big win over Indiana. And Iowa's coming in at 6-1, Penn State coming in at 5-2. But the 2 losses for Penn State were huge. Coming from me, they were huge. Losing to Ohio State at home, then losing to Michigan State. That absolutely hurt their chances of winning the Big Ten Conference, Big Ten championship, even if Ohio State lost. Penn State is just there to win games and make it to a solid bowl game. So coming from me in this huge Big Ten Conference battle, this one's tough. Penn State let me down against Michigan State, that's for sure. And Iowa hasn't let me down yet. So coming from me, I am taking College Football Dojo's Iowa Hawkeyes to once again get it done on the road and defeat the Penn State Nittany Lions in a close one. And now the next matchup. It is for the Rip Miller Trophy between the Navy midshipmen heading to South Bend to face the undefeated Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Now this is the 92nd meeting between Navy and Notre Dame. Notre Dame leads the all-time series, 75-13-1. Notre Dame won the last meeting last year, and Navy's looking to defeat Notre Dame for the first time in 2 years. Now, both teams are coming off very different Week 8. Navy coming off their blowout loss to Houston on Saturday. They're coming in at 2-5. And Notre Dame's coming off their bye in Week 8, and they're coming in at an undefeated 7-0. Now, you can say this is kind of a mismatch. Navy is not the same team that they were a couple years ago. They're coming in 2-5, and that's the thing of saying, oh, this is going to be a blowout. But never underestimate a team that has lost that many games. Look what happened with Nebraska. They finally won their first game of the season. So don't underestimate the Navy midshipmen for not making this a contest. Then you have Notre Dame Fighting Irish coming off their bye. With Ohio State's loss, that absolutely helps Notre Dame. They can continue to win, maybe run the table, go undefeated. They can make it to the college football playoffs. So coming from me in the battle for the Rip Miller Trophy, I'm going to go with the undefeated Fighting Irish of Notre Dame to defeat the Navy midshipmen. And now the next matchup, the big matchup in Week 9, and it is in the SEC East, in which College Game Day will be at this Saturday. It is the battle between the Florida Gators facing the Georgia Bulldogs, and it's for the Okefenokee Or. Now, this is the 97th meeting between the Gators and the Bulldogs. Georgia leads the all-time series 51-43-2. Georgia won the last meeting last year, and the Gators are looking to defeat the Bulldogs for the first time in 2 years. Now, this game is big. Both teams are coming off byes. Both teams are coming in at 6-1. And this game will tell us who is going to win the SEC East division. Right now, this is a big game. And this game will be played in Jacksonville, which is practically a Gators home game. But this game is big. This game is big for Dan Mullen because in his first year, He did lose to Kentucky. That was his only loss of the season. But even if he can knock off their rivals, Georgia, and take first place in the SEC East, Florida's going to be a tough team to handle. That is for sure. And Georgia, coming off their loss to LSU on the road 2 weeks ago, they're going to look to rebound. They're going to look to rebound. They're looking to say, hey, that loss was just one day. We can bounce back and get it done. So coming from me in the battle for the Okefenokee and the top spot in the SEC East, this one is tough. I'm already sweating bullets because of it. This one's a tough pick, and especially where College Game Day is going to be at, this is going to be a tough pick for Lee Corso. But coming from me, I'm going to take Jake from State Farm and the Georgia Bulldogs to defeat the Florida Gators. And now the next matchup, it is an ACC Atlantic rivalry showdown pitting the undefeated Clemson Tigers heading to Tallahassee to face the Florida State Seminoles. Now this is the 32nd meeting between Clemson and Florida State. Florida State leads the all-time series 20-11. Clemson has won the last 3 meetings against Florida State, and Florida State is looking to defeat Clemson for the first time in 4 years. Now, both teams are coming off big wins against ACC rival opponents. Clemson coming off their big win over then undefeated NC State on Saturday, coming in at an undefeated 7-0 record. And Florida State's coming off their big win over the Wake Forest Demon Deacons on Saturday. They're coming in at 4-3. Now, with Clemson's win over NC State, Clemson is almost automatically are going to win the ACC Atlantic. So right now we're just going to find out who's going to be the team that's going to beat them. With Ohio State's loss on Saturday, Clemson's definitely going to move up to number 2, possibly, because anything can happen. And it could be either them or Notre Dame. But I think Clemson will be the number 2 team in the nation by Monday. But this is a big game. This is definitely a big game for Willie Taggart, because in his first year, he can have a chance to knock off the last undefeated team in the ACC conference in Clemson. So this is a big game for Willie Taggart. So coming from me in this ACC Atlantic rivalry showdown, this one's tough. I'm going to go with Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers to defeat the Florida State Seminoles in a close one. And now the next matchup, it is another ACC Atlantic showdown between the North Carolina State Wolfpack heading to the Carrier Dome to face the Syracuse Orangemen. Now this is only the 12th meeting between the Wolfpack and the Cuse. NC State leads the all-time series 10-1. NC State has won the last 4 meetings against Syracuse, and Syracuse looking to defeat NC State for the first time since 2013. Now, both teams are coming off very different week 8s. NC State coming off their loss to Clemson on Saturday. They're coming in 5-1, and Syracuse coming off their big win in double overtime over UNC on Saturday, coming in at 5-2. Now, this game will just really tell us who's gonna be bowl eligible. Whoever wins is bowl eligible. Whoever wins could be a threat, but I don't see it happening because both these teams have lost to Clemson already. So this matchup is just the de facto who's going to be the second best team in the Atlantic other than Clemson. So coming from me in this ACC Atlantic rivalry showdown, ooh, man, this one's a tough one. But I'm going to go, I may get this one wrong, but I'm going to go with the Syracuse Orangemen to get it done at home and defeat the North Carolina State Wolfpack. And now the next matchup, it is an SEC West rivalry showdown pitting the Texas A&M Aggies heading to Starkville to face the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Now this is only the 12th meeting between the Aggies and the Bulldogs. Mississippi State leads the all-time series 6-5. Mississippi State has won the last 2 meetings against Texas A&M, and the Aggies are looking to defeat Mississippi State for the first time in 3 years. Excuse me. Now both teams are coming off very different week 8s. Texas A&M is coming off a bye. They're coming in at 5-2, and Mississippi State's coming off their loss to LSU on Saturday, coming in at 4-3. So this game is almost exactly like the NC State-Syracuse game, with Alabama being the best team in the SEC West, then second being LSU, which that meeting will be next week, which will be the marquee matchup in Week 10 in college football. This game is really going to tell us who's the third third best team in the SEC West. That's practically it. And Mississippi State's coming off their just an embarrassing loss to LSU. Nick Fitzgerald had I think 4 picks in that game. It was bad. And Mississippi State looking to rebound big time. So coming from me in this SEC West showdown, oh man, I'm going to go with the Texas A&M Aggies to defeat the Mississippi State Bulldogs. And now the next matchup, we're going back to the Big 12 Conference with the Texas Longhorns heading to Stillwater to face the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Now this is the 33rd meeting between the Longhorns and the Cowboys. Texas leads the all-time series 24-8. Oklahoma State has won the last 3 meetings against the Longhorns, and Texas is looking to defeat Oklahoma State for the first time in 4 years. Now, both teams are coming off byes in Week 8. Texas coming in at 6-1. Oklahoma State coming in at 4-3. Now, this is going to be the biggest story here. Texas beat Oklahoma, and I can say that I'm an Oklahoma Sooner fan. They kicked our ass. We nearly lost. We nearly came back, but they kicked our ass. But to say, can Texas now knock off Oklahoma State? I think they're in first place in the Big 12 Conference. The Texas Longhorns, 6-1, bowl eligible, and they have a great chance to win the Big 12 Conference. But to say they can beat Oklahoma and Oklahoma State in the same season would be amazing. So, coming from me in this huge Big 12 showdown, this one's tough. This one's another one making me sweat. This one's a good pick. But I'm going to go, even though I don't like him, but I got a lot of respect for him, I'm going to go with the Texas Longhorns to defeat the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Hook 'em. And now the next matchup, it is a Pac-12 South showdown pitting the Arizona State Sun Devils heading to the Coliseum to face the USC Trojans. Now this is the 34th meeting between Arizona State and USC. USC leads the all-time series 21-12. USC has won the last 3 meetings against Arizona State, and the Sun Devils are looking to defeat USC for the first time in 4 years. Now, both teams are coming off losses in Week 8 against Pac-12 opponents. Arizona State coming off their loss to Stanford on Thursday in a heartbreaker at home, and USC is coming off their loss to Utah in a blowout, coming in at 4-3. Now, this game is not really an interesting game because really, Colorado's the only team that's the best team in the South. Let's just be honest. Colorado Buffaloes are the only good team in the South, and then maybe Utah. So this game is just like the other games, like NC State and Syracuse. Whoever wins this will be the third best team in the Pac-12 South. So coming from me in this huge Pac-12 South showdown, oh man, USC has been a complete disappointment this year. I mean, just a overrated team that a lot of people were hyping on this year in the South, and they turn out to be nothing but shit. And this is a big game for Herm Edwards. First year at Arizona State to get a big win against USC. But coming from me, I think playing at the Rose Bowl will definitely be in the advantage of the Trojans. So I'm going to take the USC Trojans to defeat the Arizona State Sun Devils. And now the next matchup, it is a Pac-12 North rivalry showdown pitting the Washington State Cougars heading to Palo Alto to face the Stanford Cardinal. Now this is the 69th meeting between Washington State and Stanford. Stanford leads the all-time series 40-27-1. Cougars have won the last 2 meetings against the Cardinal, and Stanford's looking to defeat Washington State for the first time in 3 years. So both teams are coming off big wins over Pac-12 opponents. Washington State coming off their big win at home over Oregon. They're coming in at 6-1. And Stanford coming off their big win over Arizona State on Thursday, coming in at 5-2. So whoever wins this will be the leading team in the Pac-12 North. Would Washington's win, but Washington's lost 2 games. This game is definitely who's going to win this. Whoever wins this is going to win the Pac-12 North. I think with Washington State's big win and where College Game Day was at this past week, and it was wild in Washington State for College Game Day on Saturday. This Washington State team is definitely on fire right now. Stanford does not look like the same team. I mean, Bryce Love didn't really do a lot in that Arizona State game on Thursday, and I really do think Washington State's the better team in the North. So coming from me in this Pac-12 North showdown to see who will be leading the Pac-12 North going into next week, I got to go with the Washington State Cougars to defeat the Stanford Cardinal in a close one. And now the next matchup, it is another Big 12 conference showdown between the Texas Tech Red Raiders heading to Iowa City to face the Iowa State Cyclones. Now, both teams are coming off very different. Let me see if they had a... Oh, yes, they did have a rivalry. This is only the 17th meeting between Texas Tech and Iowa State. Excuse me. Texas Tech leads the all-time series 11-5. Iowa State has won the last 2 meetings against Texas Tech, and Texas Tech is looking to defeat Iowa State for the first time in 3 years. Now, both teams are coming off very different. Week 8, Texas Tech's coming off their big win over Kansas. They're coming in at 5-2. Iowa State was coming off a bye. They're coming in at 3-3. Now, Texas Tech is one of those teams that a lot of people did not see coming, that they would be this good. They're still in the thread in the Big 12 Conference with Cliff Kingsbury, old handsome one himself. This is a big game. They win, they're bowl eligible. And there'll be maybe another team to look out for in the Big 12 Conference. Then you have Iowa State, who were the darlings of last year's Big 12 Conference. But now they're just a team to try to get, they just need 3 wins. They'll be bowl eligible. So coming from me in this Big 12 rivalry showdown, I'm going to go with the Texas Tech Red Raiders to defeat the Iowa State Cyclones in a close one. And now the next matchups, heading to the American Athletic Conference between the undefeated South Florida Bulls heading to Houston to face the Houston Cougars. Now, both these teams are coming off big wins in Week 8. UCF is coming off their big win over UConn. They're coming in undefeated at 7-0. Houston's coming off a big win over Navy. They're coming in at 6-1. So this game is definitely big, because whoever wins this could be the top team in the American Athletic East or the American Athletic West. But with UCF still undefeated, USF has to continue their winning ways. And this is a big-time game. This is a make-or-break game for the Bulls here. So coming from me in this American Athletic Conference showdown, I picked Houston on this channel before, but I've never picked with the South Florida Bulls yet. So coming from me, I'm going to take the USF Bulls to defeat the Houston Cougars. And now the final matchup in Week 9, pitting the Cincinnati Bearcats heading to SMU to face the SMU Mustangs. Now, both teams are coming off not so great. Both teams are coming off very different. Week 8, Cincinnati's coming off their loss to Temple, of all teams in the American Athletic Conference to lose, and they lost in overtime. They're coming in. They were the 3rd undefeated team in the American Athletic Conference. They're coming in at 6-1 now. SMU's coming off their big win over the Green Wave of Tulane. They're coming in at 3-4. So Cincinnati's loss to Temple was big. That was a huge loss that stopped Cincinnati's undefeated streak. They could be out of the top 25 by this week as well. So coming from me in this final matchup in Week 9, I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bearcats to rebound and bounce back and defeat the SMU Mustangs. And those are my Week 9 college football predictions. Now, I want to thank you guys so very much for watching this video today. Comment below, who do you have winning in Week 9? Do you see any more upsets coming up this upcoming week? Let me know in the comment section below. And as always, represent your college football team in the comment section. Let's have a conversation about them. Of course, I'm always on to see your comment, like it, and of course, reply right back to you, because comments are absolutely always welcome on this channel. And I do want to thank you guys so very much for watching this video today. Now, before you guys go, you guys can never forget to do this. That like button, comment, share with your friends. Of course, super kick that like button like only you guys can. Of course, you can never forget to do this as well. That subscribe button, become part of this bigger and dangerous alliance. And I will see you guys later today for my WWE's Evolution 2018 predictions. Lynch Charlotte, last woman standing. Later days, guys, and peace.